Most of us understand retail through a simple, intuitive equation. A store buys a product at a low wholesale cost, marks it up, pockets the difference. In the U.S. supermarket industry, this straightforward transaction of currency for calories is essentially a break-even proposition. The foundational metric of the grocery industry is its structural net profit margin, which hovers precariously between 1 and 3%. This waterfall chart shows a $100 basket. $70 disappears immediately for goods. Labor, rent, and theft devour the remainder. Net profit is $1.60. The model is fragile. If shoplifting or tariffs rise, that margin instantly vanishes into the red. To understand how companies like Kroger and Walmart generate billions in corporate earnings, we have to look past the food. Because they cannot maximize profit on a single item, supermarkets play a volume game known as asset turnover. A product that sits on a shelf is a liability. A product that turns over weekly is an asset. This velocity imperative dictates the physical design of the building. The layout is engineered to force shoppers on a long pathway past thousands of high-margin impulse items just to reach the essentials. To guarantee you make that trip, grocers rely on loss leaders. These are staple items intentionally priced at or below wholesale cost to drive necessary, recurring foot traffic. Shoppers monitor the price of eggs closely. Even when avian flu drove wholesale egg prices to record highs, major chains artificially suppressed their retail prices. If a shopper sees expensive eggs, they assume the entire store is overpriced and leave. The same logic applies to the rotisserie chicken. It is a highly labor-intensive, perishable item that is permanently capped at a break-even price, placed at the very back of the store to pull foot traffic through the aisles. The loss taken on that chicken is a customer acquisition cost. The physical store itself acts as a massive loss leader, gathering the foot traffic required to fuel a hidden set of B2B revenue streams. If we stop looking at the store from the perspective of a consumer buying groceries and instead look at it from the perspective of a manufacturer trying to sell them, the true economics emerge. Supermarkets act as gatekeepers, monetizing their physical shelf space by charging manufacturers for the right to display their products. This system runs on slotting fees. Manufacturers pay large, upfront cash sums to the retailer simply for the right to place a new product in the aisle. These entry taxes are severe. Launching a single new item across a major national chain can cost a consumer packaged goods brand anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000, excluding the cost of the inventory itself. The eye-level center aisles and the end cap displays at the edge of the aisles are prime real estate. They function as highly visible billboards that the grocer rents out to massive conglomerates who can afford to buy the space. Historically, up to 80% of new grocery products fail. By demanding slotting fees up front, the retailer extracts a guaranteed profit before a single consumer puts the item in their cart. This category of trade spend is so lucrative that for many chains, the fees collected from suppliers rival or exceed the actual gross markup paid by the public. Zooming out from the interior aisles to the exterior footprint of the building reveals the second hidden model, the supermarket as a commercial landlord. Real estate is a strategic asset class for the industry. Top-tier chains like Publix operate as covert real estate investment trusts, outright owning over 30% of their physical store locations. Grocery stores generate heavy, daily, recession-resistant foot traffic. This makes them a highly desirable anchor tenant, which dramatically increases the value of the surrounding land. Rather than letting a developer capture that value, grocers often purchase the entire shopping plaza. They become the direct landlord for the adjacent nail salons, pharmacies, and restaurants, dictating the tenant mix while collecting the rent. Owning this real estate also unlocks immense tax efficiency. The grocer can claim substantial depreciation deductions on the property, shielding their operational retail income from federal taxes. Through aggressive property development and leasing, supermarkets generate millions in passive, all-weather cash flow that has absolutely nothing to do with selling food. Deep inside the corporate treasury department, we find the third hidden model, the supermarket operating as a trade finance bank. This relies on a metric called the cash conversion cycle. For a standard manufacturer, this cycle is positive. They pay for raw materials long before they earn cash from a finished product. Mega-grocers engineer this cycle to be negative. Looking at this timeline, the cycle starts on day 0. The retailer takes delivery of millions of dollars in inventory from a supplier. However, they negotiate aggressive payment terms, legally deferring the invoice for 60 to 90 days. Because grocery inventory turns over so rapidly, the retailer sells those goods to the consumer, collecting cold, hard cash by day 30. The gap between day 30, when the grocer gets paid, and day 60, when they finally pay the supplier, is known as the float. During this window, the retailer holds the supplier's cash entirely interest-free. Scaled across thousands of stores at the level of a Kroger or Walmart, this negative working capital generates a permanent multi-billion-dollar pool of free cash. That money is continuously reinvested into store expansions, digital infrastructure, and stock buybacks. Through strict payment terms, the supermarket forces its own suppliers to bankroll its corporate growth. The final evolution of the business model turns the supermarket into a digital ad agency. In recent years, grocery chains realized their inventory is no longer their most valuable asset. Their most valuable asset is the granular behavioral data generated by their loyalty programs. Subsidiaries like Kroger's 84.51 track the exact purchasing habits of tens of millions of households. They know what you buy, the precise time you buy it, and every other item in your basket. Chains monetize this through retail media networks. They package this first-party data and sell it back to consumer brands as highly targeted digital ad inventory on their apps and websites. This chart exposes the margin arbitrage driving the industry. While the physical grocery business fights for a 1.6% net profit, digital retail media networks operate on margins of 60 to 80%. The cost of serving a targeted digital coupon is virtually zero. For retail titans, this ad revenue is staggering. In a single year, Walmart Connect generated over $4 billion, growing roughly 6 times faster than its physical retail sales, and providing the cash necessary to make its digital delivery operations profitable. The physical transaction at the register is no longer the endgame. It is a data harvesting mechanism designed to feed a highly profitable digital advertising ecosystem. These hidden business models explain the underlying logic of the current era of mega-mergers, most notably the historic proposed consolidation of Kroger and Albertsons. Regulators at the Federal Trade Commission have aggressively pushed back on this merger, evaluating it through the traditional antitrust lens of consumer food pricing and the threat of local grocery monopolies. The corporate motivation for this merger focuses on achieving monopsony power, the ability to act as a dominant buyer and dictate brutal trade spend and payment terms to suppliers. The digital motivation: a combined entity would control the data of nearly 100 million households, creating a closed-loop retail media network capable of rivaling Google or Amazon in advertising reach. Grocery giants view massive physical scale as the foundation for the financial and digital platforms they need to rival big tech. Evaluating a grocery chain solely on the markup of its food completely misses the enterprise's actual economic engines. The modern grocery chain is a hybrid entity. It operates simultaneously as a trade finance bank utilizing supplier capital, a media network selling targeted attention, and a commercial real estate firm collecting rent. The physical act of exchanging currency for calories is maintained strictly to fuel this layered ecosystem. The modern U.S. supermarket is a sophisticated data mining operation wrapped in a commercial real estate portfolio, entirely subsidized by a covert trade finance scheme. The groceries just happen to be the bait.